For the last 6 months or so, I have been getting visitations from a little boy who unfortunately passed away. His name is Corey Micolo. And if you pay attention to true crime, you might know his name. I only saw a little bit of the trial because it was very difficult for me, but I am somebody who pays attention to I watch court TV and I pay attention, and I go in on trials that are being live streamed. I like to learn, but I also do it for the victims. Corey, when I saw that little boy's face, I knew. I just knew I had to learn about this. I had to understand. It was not an easy trial by any means. Corey Micolo was murdered by his biological father. And the trial is known as the treadmill killer or something like that, because this man had a gym in his apartment complex, and he would make Corey run on the treadmill at increasing speeds, and if Corey didn't, if it became too much for him, he'd make him, he'd throw him back on, and he bit the top of his head, and he was very abusive. But I don't want to go into all of that, because that's there's a lot of evidence out there that you can see now that the trial is concluded. His father was found guilty of his murder, which we had prayed for. And I watched the impact statements from his mother. So Corey has been coming to see me, and it's usually in the morning. And whenever I get somebody visiting me over and over and over again like this, I will stop and I will say, what is it that you wish to communicate? And right now, Corey, I asked Corey that question, and he said, I want to talk to my mom. And he's also wanting to talk about his soul. He wants his mother to know that this is not in any way her fault at all. In fact, he's saying that he withstood and he lasted long because of the boy that his mother raised him to be. Like, it was in her strength. That's what he pulled on, because she taught him very well, and his maternal grandmother taught him, and everybody around him on his mother's side, not just family, friends. I mean, there were so many people that loved this little boy, but he is really wanting to talk about how it's not his mother's fault, and it wasn't her fault how he came to be. It wasn't her fault how he came to be, how Corey was made. And it wasn't her fault that she did everything to survive the trauma that she endured. It was not her fault that she reached out, he's saying this, reached out to my father for financial assistance to raise me. It's not her fault. And she was a law-abiding citizen, and she went through all of the different mechanisms that she knew how in order to protect her son. Corey is talking about his soul as well. He's talking about the journey of his soul over the course of many lifetimes. And that one of the themes that he continues to take part in is the sacrificial lamb, is the example. So he, in this lifetime, he's saying, I had chosen this lifetime, as painful as it is, I chose it so that I could bring awareness to the injustices and what is crooked and broken in every area of our legal system, our child protective services system, our rights for when it comes to the rights of the biological mothers and biological fathers, and how that everybody needs to be vetted. It's not just people who, like strangers, that are interacting with children. It's especially blood relatives, because there is empirical evidence that shows that most of the time when a crime is committed, it's committed by somebody in their immediate family, in the victim's immediate family. So there's a reason for that they look at the family first, or the spouse first, because that is where the evidence, the statistics lead them. So you have to, the systems that are in place in the United States of America, when it comes to children and children's safety, there needs to be more than what it already is. And they need to fix what's broken, because the system's broken. The system failed Corey. His mother did not fail Corey. His mother did everything that she could to wake the system up to the abuse that Corey was enduring over a long period of time. So this is to bring awareness and to raise the consciousness of humanity. That's what Corey wants to say. He misses his mommy, but he's with her, right? He misses being in the body with, having her as a mom. He really loved it. He is giving me so much comfort when he says that. He says, she is the warmth of home. And I see him running into her arms, and she's crouched down, and he's running to her, huge smiles on their faces. And it's just home. And she needs to learn how to forgive herself, because she's blaming herself. But she's also making strides because she's going to be a leader for change for me and for all the other kids that have been hurt and abused and have suffered at the hands of their own family members and foster parents and what have you. So Corey, I'm gonna send this out to the world in the hopes that your mom will find it. In no way do I mean any disrespect at all. This is something that has always happened to me. When I was 8 years old, I remember I was in a supermarket with my aunt and my cousin, and they were about to bring me home to my house, but my aunt was just picking up a few things at the store. And we were at the end of the register where up against the walls there's windows, and there were these flyers for missing children. And I saw the face of one of the little boys, and then he followed me home. I knew he was dead, and I was sort of haunted by him. He started to gravitate towards my energy, and then he followed me home. And it was a very jarring experience for me, but it happens. And that's the kind of stuff that's been happening to me since I was a very little girl, since I was nonverbal. So whenever this happens, I do feel like there is a greater message here, not just for Corey's family, but for anyone who is listening to this that might have experienced a similar thing, or are experiencing something when it comes to the safety of children. So everybody has to remember, for Corey's sake, to really vet, have screenings, have people looked at and evaluated, because people will show you a certain face in public, and then in private they're like the monster that killed Corey. So you have to really pay attention, because people can be quite insidious, he said. By the way, he's not a little boy in spirit. He is part of the whole. He's part of the consciousness that forever exists. He's infinite now. So he's a brilliant soul, and he's communicating to me in ways that I will understand as well. But he's also throwing things in there from the wisdom of his soul. And believe me, he is a wise soul. And he's very, very tender and warm and loving. So, thank you for listening. If I have any more messages from Corey, I will certainly give more, because he's invited to come and talk with me at any time. Sending you guys so much love now and always.